Hi, I'm Karen.
And I'm Elise,
Welcome back to Poodle People.
where we talk about all things poodles.
Just a friendly reminder that we're not licensed professionals, veterinarians, or handlers. We're just poodle people.
Hey, Elise.
Hey Karen, how's it going?
Good. How about you?
Oh, just peachy keen.
Fantastic.
How are the puppies doing this week?
Really well. It's been a great, big, busy week. We have a lot going on. Puppies are growing up. They got a lot of good experiences this week. And I'm sitting outside with them on my deck.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, I bet you guys are having some nice weather this week, huh? Kind of cool and dry.
It's really dry, unfortunately, but that's
Oh,
good
okay.
for puppy time.
That is good
Um,
for puppy time.
not,
Wow.
yeah, not so good for farmers, but really good for puppy time and outside time.
Yeah. This is coming on what, week 7? Are we at Shark Week yet?
We are almost at Shark Week. They are definitely unable to undo shoelaces. And, the other day, little Tank pulled my shoe outside and was chewing on it. We also had a tomato killing.
Oh no.
I had one tomato left on my plant, and someone ate it. And
Oh
then
no.
all of them chewed the stalk down.
Oh
Um,
well.
yeah, so
That's
definitely a tomato killer
glad they're
amongst
getting their
us.
vegetables in, and I guess their
Yeah,
fruits too. How
yeah,
exciting.
yeah.
And it sounds like you may be in Velcros or slip-ons for the time being, since they can undo all your shoelaces.
My shoes are already put up, and I do have one pair of shoes that I wear around the house that were chewed by Alfred and Emma. So it's
Oh,
not super critical if they get them for a bite or two. But obviously, I
okay.
don't want to encourage that.
Yeah, no, I don't know that your new pet parents would appreciate
No,
pre-trained shoe chewers
no.
joining their home.
The
Well,
weather
that's
has
cool.
really been great because they really are so used to going outside to use the potty. Um,
Yeah.
and we get tons of exercise. We've
Oh,
had friends over. Jane was here today and looked at everyone's confirmation. So,
okay.
yeah, she put
That's a
all of
big
them up,
deal.
and yeah, we stacked all of them. And she looked at the prosternum and the angle of the shoulder, angle of the back leg, and the tail set and neck length.
Yeah. Okay.
And she was really pleased with all of them. None of them have major faults, which is fabulous.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's really a nice litter.
That's cool.
Um, yeah, and we've done some crate training
Okay.
and, just different things all the time, keeping
Okay.
them active and engaged.
Yeah. And Jane Singleton's your mentor, correct?
She sure is. She is
Oh.
artisan
Okay.
standard poodles, and Jane owned Connie, Gator, and Pip, and their registered names are way too long. So if anyone's interested in knowing her champions and grand champions, they should go to my website where there are very long names and all of their titles are listed.
Right. That
Jane
is kind of
has,
that's the
yeah,
hazard of the dog world, right?
yeah.
There's some seriously long names out there.
Yeah, so Jane worked with a breeder named Yvonne Hageman, and um, really I benefit from their long friendship and the bloodlines they developed. And I have Avatar Concord in my bloodlines thanks to Jane.
That's really cool and of nothing to sneeze at. That's awesome, Karen.
Yeah, it's really nice. These puppies are gorgeous, and
They sure are.
Jane picked this mating for me, so I'm really
Oh,
grateful that she has such understanding of
yeah.
pedigree and conformation because um, she's the one who designed these puppies.
They're beautiful. I mean, every photo you've sent me and I've seen on your socials is, I mean, they're cute, of course, because all puppies are pretty cute. But they're beautiful dogs, Karen. You should be really proud of yourself.
Thank you. I really am pleased. And I also am really pleased with Emma because she has really come into her own. And even Jane said that she is a beauty. And so, sometimes dogs take a while to mature and
Yeah.
really look their best. And Emma looks fantastic.
Yeah, she's a wonderful specimen of the breed. So I think that's really cool and how fun for you and your program.
Yeah. So, of course, it's not all about me. Tell me what you have been doing this week and what Winnie's up to.
So I've been traveling. I had a birthday this week, so I got out of town and celebrated with my folks. So Winnie's been home with my boyfriend and longtime partner. So she's gotten some dad time in, been chasing
Nice.
lizards and visiting the sweet neighbor down the street that feeds her treats every day. And this
Living the
weekend
desert
she's
life.
living the life. She's spent some time with her she has a Great Dane friend named Biggie, and she goes and plays with Biggie. He outweighs her by about 100 pounds, but they get on just fine. So she's
Yep.
gonna spend some time with him, just playing, hanging out, doing dog stuff. And then I'll see her when I get back. So I'm looking forward to that. The best part of coming home from a trip, I think, is seeing the dogs. I
Oh,
think you and I
absolutely.
can probably both
Yeah.
agree on that.
Yep.
Well, cool. So this week we have a pretty neat guest. Karen, how'd you meet our new friend Lori? Um, if you want
Menningers.
to, yeah,
Yeah.
Lori
So
Menninger.
I met Lori at the Louisville Dog Show, and it might not technically be the Louisville Dog Show, but I think that's how most people refer to it.
Sure.
And I happened to just pick a spot next to her group of friends, and they were fantastic. I really got to know all of them and celebrated their triumphs, of which they had many. I think they finished a couple of dogs that weekend. And they were
Wow.
just a really, really nice group of amateur owner handlers. And we talked a lot about the difference between showing Swissies and poodles and how they show, how they breed, things like that. And I just really hit it off with them. But I also ended up buying 4 pieces of pottery from Lori,
Okay.
and we wanted to have her on to talk about her labor of love. And I can attest that her pottery business is just fantastic.
That's awesome. Yeah, so Lori is a Greater Swiss Mountain Dog owner and exhibitor, and she is the founder of Swissy Love Pet Pottery. So here in just a few minutes, we'll get to hear all about her story and learn some fun things about the Greater Swiss Mountain Dog along the way, a breed that I wasn't familiar with, but I certainly learned a lot with talking to her. It's a lot of fun.
I hope everyone enjoys it. Hi, Lori. Thanks for joining us.
Hi there. How are you guys?
We're doing really
Thank
well.
you. Great.
So, just to set the audience up, Lori and I met at the Louisville show. I don't know the formal name of the Louisville Dog Show, but we were both there. Lori was with a group of her friends showing her wonderful Swiss Mountain Dog, and I just kept chatting with them. They were such a great group. The dogs were wonderful, and Lori had her wonderful pottery with her. So we thought it would be really interesting to talk to someone who is an amateur owner handler of a different breed. And we also are dying to know more about the pottery because I must confess that I bought 4 bowls.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm glad you're getting good use out of it. Yes.
I am, and I am already thinking about new purchases. So,
Perfect.
this is part of shopping expedition.
Okay. And to also set the stage, I am an amateur owner handler and also an amateur potter. So both things are fairly new to me. in the last few years. So having fun with both of them for sure.
That's fantastic. It's
Yeah.
always good to find new hobbies that are really exciting, and we're both really interested. So let's get started and tell us a little bit about your dog history and the dog you had at Louisville, and just a little bit more about
Sure.
the Swissy.
Alrighty. So I think I probably had two Swissies there. I was still showing Moose.
Mhm.
But recently I just finished Moose on his grand championship. So
Yay!
that was about
Wow,
a,
congrats.
I know, I'm so excited because it's really hard to show two dogs. When I finished him and then just started taking Minnie, that's his daughter, to shows, it was like a breeze. It was like, oh, it's just one dog. It was so easy. With two dogs, I was taking crates in and just trying to get them in and out of the ring. It was just a lot. So really glad to be done with Moose. So yeah, we had a Greater Swiss Mountain Dog. We got our first one probably back in 2001.
Mhm.
From a breeder in Kentucky, and he lived about 8 years. He actually ended up having bone cancer.
Oh.
I know, but
Mm.
I've learned a lot since then about neutering early, and I really think that's super important, not to neuter or spay early. Dogs just aren't finished. Now you got to be responsible. I know that's a big thing, but it's super important for their growth to let them finish growing before altering them. So I do think that probably contributed to it, because he not only had bone cancer, he also tore his ACL like 3 times.
Oh
And
no.
I know it's just like one thing
Mm.
after another. So anyway, that was our first Swissy. And then we had Goldens along with that Swissy, and had one or two other Goldens. And when our last Golden passed, I was like, I really want to get another Swissy again. So I went to they have an event here in Columbus yearly called the Swissathlon. And it's just a big get together for a weekend where they do pack hikes and drafting, where they pull the cart, weight pulling.
That's cool.
And yeah, and
Mhm.
then they do, there'll be a dinner and a silent auction. And it's actually October 6th, 7th this year, but I'm going to be in Canada, so I can't go. But anyway, I went out there maybe 6 years ago, and was talking to the breeder that puts it on, and ended up getting a Swissy. Not from her, which I kind of still feel bad about. She was so busy running the show. I started talking to some other breeders, and ended up getting Moose. And at that time, I have 4 kids as well. So,
Oh.
but my youngest is a senior in college. So
Okay.
when I got Moose like 5 years ago, she was like, well, I'm looking to place a show male. And I was like, well, what does that entail? And she's like, oh, you just go to a couple dog shows. It can be done in 3. And I was like, really? And I was like, okay, well, sure, maybe I'll try that. So of course, it didn't take 3 3 dog shows to do. But
I feel like it never does.
no, well, I have seen a dog finish in a weekend. Actually, it was at Louisville. The Not the breeder that I got Moose from, but the breeder of Moose's dad was there with Hondo. And
Yes.
yeah, he
Yeah.
finished that weekend. He was 9 months old, and he got
Yeah.
best of winners every day.
Yeah.
So he did finish that weekend. But Tina's been showing for a really long time. I had never shown a dog. I did not know what to do. I had to go to all the training and learn how, there's a lot more to showing a dog than just running around in a
Yeah.
circle in a ring.
Yes, there is.
There's definitely more to it. So yeah, that's kind of how that show career started. It did give me something, because I had been traveling, with the 4 kids all across the country doing different kids activities. My girls were divers, both in college, and
Mhm.
my boys played lacrosse. So, we've been all over. And I was like, well, that's all coming to an end. So now I'll start taking the dog all over. So, yeah.
It
So
does happen that way, doesn't it?
it
Yeah.
does. Yeah. And it was a good segue and gave me something to focus on since the kids, are on their own now. And it's a lot going from a busy house with 4 active kids to like no kids. It was like quiet and, so anyway, it's been really nice. So
Lori, are we hearing a rooster?
yeah, that's that is a rooster. And so we got those chickens. Actually, we got them 1 year ago on Monday.
Okay.
On our anniversary, we got each other chickens. So we went and we picked out 6 chickens, and they were supposed to be hens, all of them. We were not supposed to have a rooster. And lo and behold, on New Year's Day, I was like, is my husband like making some weird snoring noises? And I opened the back door and he's doing cock-a-doodle-doo. And I'm like, great. So now we have a rooster. So yes, yeah.
Love that for you.
Yeah. He's okay. I mean, you got to keep your eye on him. I don't turn my back on him because he'll come at you. He's not unfriendly. He's just doing his job, protecting his lady.
Being a rooster.
He is. Yeah. I mean, that's what he does. I mean, he rounds them up and, he does. He keeps them. Do either one of you have chickens?
I have had chickens in the past. I don't right now.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, having chickens is, you could buy eggs the rest of your life and it'd be just fine. And they don't pay for themselves. In other words,
they do not. No.
Now, granted, when eggs were $5 a dozen, they might have been, but that didn't last very long. So we're back to eggs being $1.20 a dozen now. So
yes.
But anyway, yeah. So,
but you have to enjoy the labor of it and find that interesting for it to be worthwhile.
Exactly. I mean, we had recently moved. About 2 years ago, we were in a more of a city suburb setting, I guess. And now we're out in the country on 12 acres. So,
nice.
So the chicken, we thought, well, we'll get chickens.
Yeah.
They can free range and, all that good stuff. So, yeah.
And do Moose and Minnie have any, do they run after them at all?
So no. Right in the beginning, like, right when we brought them home, we had them interacting with them from the get-go. And when we put them out in the coop, a couple times when the chickens would because they can fly, so they would take off running and they would kind of get air a little bit. Mm-hmm. And especially Minnie, because she just turned 2, so she was only a puppy still at 1, and she would go after them and chase them. But now they don't care at all about the chickens. Actually, on my Instagram, if you look back at any of my Moose Mini Instagram, Moose is sitting in the coop and the chickens are just walking all around him. It's the funniest thing. So
when I had chickens, I had my dogs Max and Jane, and they were doing really well. But one day Max realized that if he ran after them, they would run and flap their wings, and he had that glazed look in his eyes. Of this is I'm gonna get. So I have not. And now that I have 4 dogs, it seems like the chickens would be at risk because
yes. Well, my son has a shepherd, and the shepherd comes and stays for a few days because the dogs all love to play together. I'll walk the dogs and be outside with the dogs for, an hour and a half, 2 hours, just doing things outside. The chickens are in the coop. And then I would come in with the dogs and let the chickens out. Well, one day I forgot, and the shepherd, he went after those chickens. I mean, but that rooster came in and came right at, the hens were all running, but the rooster was coming at him. Yeah. And he did kind of prevent him from, getting one of the hens. Cause I can't catch those chickens and the shepherd. I mean, you just can't. They're just so fast.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, it's a fun little thing. We'll see if we get more. I mean, we've got 4 hens and a rooster, but I don't need any more. It's 4 eggs a day. What do I need more eggs than that?
Right.
So
just start stocking your freezer because you'll want them in the winter.
Oh yes. I mean, can you do that? Put them in the freezer?
Yeah. So if you just crack them and put them in, you'll have to buy smaller containers,
Mhm.
but you can crack them and put them in containers so that you have 2 or 3 at a time.
Oh, okay.
And that's one way to get yourself through the winter without having to buy store-bought
Yeah.
eggs.
Yeah, I know.
I did
It's
not
like,
know that.
I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
either.
This
Yeah, yeah.
podcast is so good for many things. Wow.
We're learning about chickens. We're learning about
Yeah.
dogs.
You could separate them before, like if you bake a lot and you
Mhm.
use whites or yolks, you could separate them, you could beat them and then,
Okay.
have something ready for scrambled eggs or whatever, or you can just
Yeah.
crack them open, throw them in a container, freeze them,
Yeah.
you know.
The dogs do get one each about every other day. I don't give them to them every day, but about every other day.
Yeah,
So
that's a really nice thing.
Mine
yeah.
hates scrambled eggs. She gets all
Yes.
excited when the box comes out. She's like, "Oh, for me too."
No, I just get so Moose and Minnie eat raw. So
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, which is a whole nother. That could be a whole
Yeah.
podcast. That could be a whole half an hour of raw feeding. I just
Yes.
yeah.
We will have you back on for that.
Yeah.
It
I've
is.
always been kind of interested in that. We'll have to circle back to that one.
Yeah, for sure.
definitely.
I mean, I've definitely learned a lot. So the day that I picked up Nicole or Moose from Nicole, she's like, "Well, he's been on a raw diet." I'm like, "Oh, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean?" I didn't know what I had a bag of from at the house. It's a 4-hour drive the way home, and she's like, "Yeah, he eats raw." I'm like, so the whole way home from Michigan, I'm like Googling how to feed a dog raw, and I'm like, what? So yeah, I get home and he won't eat the kibble. So
Of
I had to
course
go
not.
to the grocery store and buy a chicken. Like it was, I wish I'd been more prepared. I really had to just jump into it because
Right.
I'm sure that he wouldn't have starved
Eventually.
himself. But
Yeah.
I was like, I just started feeding him raw. So it's easier now. I have a whole system and but
Yeah.
it is. It definitely would be easier to throw 2 or 3 cups of kibble in a bowl and call it a day.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So-
And
definitely.
what a plot twist, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was that Nicole Proctor who was
Yeah.
also at the show?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, how lovely. So let's talk a little bit about your little group because
Yeah.
I loved that I found myself next to a group of lovely people. So
Yeah.
do you guys meet up somewhat regularly? Have you all stayed in touch? There were probably
Yeah.
4 or 5 of you, right?
Yeah. So I can't I don't know if Lisa was there. She was from Canada. Was she there?
Yes, she was
Okay.
there. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So I just saw Nicole and Lisa both last weekend because we went to a dog show in Michigan, and Nicole lives in Michigan. So we all stayed with Nicole. It was a 4-day show.
Nice.
Yeah. So we do. I talk to Nicole probably at least once a week.
Okay.
Because well, Minnie will have puppies, and not I won't have them at my house. So since Nicole's the breeder, she'll find the stud dog. She'll organize all that, and then I'll have Minnie at home until about a week before the puppies are due, and then I'll take Minnie up there and she'll have her puppies and I'll leave her there.
Oh,
I know I'll stay for a few days and then I'll probably come back another time while she's up there, and then she'll come home after that. But yeah, so I talked to Nicole a lot, and
cool. Interesting.
yeah, so Lisa has Holly, which is
Yes.
Minnie's sister. So
Okay.
Moose was there, and he's got 3 daughters, but 2 of them show. Actually, all 3 of them show. And then Tina Bailey was there, and she's the one who had Hondo.
Yep.
And I think there's another lady there named Joe. She had Jersey, and Jersey just finished his grand championship. I read on something the other day. So I don't talk to Tina as much. I do talk to her. But yeah, they're all it's a small world.
It was really nice talking to Lisa because she also is a member of Allison Alexander's Leading Edge Dog Show Academy,
Yeah.
which, I mean, that has completely changed my life and helped me become a better groomer, handler, dog person in general. I just love it. And she's
she
the
was
first
telling
person.
me.
Yeah, she's the first person I've met who's also a member other than
Okay.
people on webinars. So that was nice.
Is it I don't know about poodles as far as is it a lot more dogs to get a major? Like how many?
It is extremely competitive.
Yeah.
And there are more professionals who are showing dogs.
Of course.
Yeah. So it is really challenging. I've only been to, I think, 4 or 5 shows with Alfred. And my first show, I took both Alfred and Emma. And it was just probably overwhelming, even though Alfred was winner's dog and Emma was reserve dog. But it was just too much. We ended up only getting 1 point for Alfred.
How many dogs were in his class?
I can't remember.
Like see, if I would go with a class dog and there's 2 class dogs, we get 1 point. I mean, you only have to beat one other dog to get a point.
Right.
But like some breeds, like Goldens, I mean, my gosh, to get a major, you have to have 30 Goldens. Like,
oh my God.
It's not that
crazy.
Much.
It's crazy.
I think it's 5 for a major. No, 7 for a major. And
okay.
I'm going to totally mess this up. I don't know. But it is very
4.
competitive. And because of the hair, it's just.
Oh, yeah. I can't imagine. I cannot imagine.
It's not an easy breed.
No. I can give the dogs a bath. Like they had a bath last week. I could go to a dog show today.
Yeah, I bathe every single week.
Oh my gosh. I could walk in, show the dog, and be out in 30 minutes. Never touch a brush. I mean, they're just so wash and wear. Like they're so easy. I mean, I could go without giving. Some Swissies owners never give the dog a bath. Never.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I know.
I'm bathing mine tomorrow. Like on the calendar.
Mine get a bath before dog show or Christmas or like otherwise.
Alfred gets a bath every single weekend. And for the dog show, I had a fabulous professional do his spray up every day because the spray up is really critical. You know, the dog has to look right. And it's hard to watch videos and figure out what you're doing wrong. So I'd already been at Louisville and knew I was doing something wrong, but I needed to actually have someone do it in front of me so I could say, oh, those are the things I did wrong.
And the judge the judge knows you're doing it wrong or something?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
I mean,
isn't there's like 3 cuts for a poodle? Someone was just recently, what poodle person was I talking to?
There are 3 that you can show in. You can show in the Continental, which is what most people show in. Almost no one shows in an English saddle because very few dogs look good in it, and it's also a very hard cut.
It's a pain to do the English saddle cut. There's a lot to it.
Yes. So the modified Continental is resurging in popularity, and you see a lot more. Even just in the year that I've been showing, I've been surprised at how many more modified I've been seeing. But for my dog, he's already so big and he does not look pretty in a modified.
Okay.
He is so big that he actually needs hair to make him look attractive, which sounds counterintuitive but is true.
Yeah. Huh.
Like the hair kind of highlights him a little bit.
Yeah.
In a nice way.
I personally wish that poodles were shown with no hair. I will probably be shot by people who are listening to this, but I stand by my dog's confirmation. He's magnificent in my opinion. He's got tons of bone and very nice angles. And I actually think that the hair is definitely, when we are thinking about poodles rising or ebbing and flowing in popularity, hair is a big problem.
Yeah.
You know, I think that there's a reason that doodles and all of those crosses are so popular.
Yeah. Well, I've also often heard that like it's very difficult, like the doodles, to brush them. Like it's almost like they do need groomed so often because otherwise it's just like a solid mat on top of them.
Yes, that's so true.
Well,
and people don't always know that.
I would,
but
yeah.
With the doodle cut too, with the doodle haircut, you've got both breeds at play. So you have a lot of times you have an undercoat and the hair.
Right.
So as you're losing that undercoat, it's getting tangled in that hair that's not going to come out And
Wow.
if you're not on top of it, matting does happen. I mean, matting
Sure.
happens anyway with hair breeds. Karen and I both know that. We
Yes.
both had our,
Yeah.
especially when they're little and they're blowing their coat for the
Yeah.
first time to get
Right.
their adult hair. That's a
Mhm.
whole other nightmare.
Right.
But that's the whole problem with the doodle thing that people don't realize. Sorry,
Yeah.
I thought I'd put that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So let's just have a segue after me saying something that poodle people will probably hate me for. Let's just move into your pottery because we
Oh,
are
sure.
both dying to hear about that.
Yes.
Well, and okay, so I think I mentioned that I moved a few years ago. So I moved and we're out here in the country and way back off of a road that sits way back in someone's driveway. She walks her driveway every morning 3.5 times up and down her driveway is 3 miles. So it's a long driveway. Well, my dogs would bark when they would see her kind of through the woods. And
Mhm.
we don't see anybody back here. And so she called me or got a hold of my husband somehow and said, could I meet your dogs? Because they kind of scare me. So anyway, I met her back in the woods. I'm like, yeah, let's meet back here. And, you can say hi to the dogs. So we took a walk and I said, well, what do you do? And she's like, well, I do pottery. I'm like, really? I've always wanted to do pottery. And she's like, well, I could teach you. So that's what happened. So I started going to her house 1 or 2 times a week, just learning. Yeah. And for Christmas, my husband got me a wheel. And then I was taking all my creations that I was making into downtown Columbus and dropping them off, and people were firing them, then picking them up. So it's like a whole 2-week turnaround kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it just I really loved making bowls, and I just started making some dog bowls, and I was like, I don't know how it went, but I just started making dog bowls and then cat bowls, and I was making mugs and with, like dogs on them or whatever. And yeah, it's just kind of gone that way. And now I'm doing some craft shows and a farmer's market, and just it definitely has kept me busy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I just love the bowls that I bought from you. I
Good.
love
I'm
them.
so glad. Yes.
I use the big one. I started using it right away as the big dog bowl for water.
Mm-hmm.
And the smaller ones are so handy. I sent you a picture. I put them in the whelping box underneath the rail, and that way the puppies can't really knock it over, although every once in a while someone steps in it or something crazy,
Yes.
They're puppies.
Yes.
But in general, I can leave bowls in there, and I feel so much more comfortable leaving a piece of pottery in there rather than a stainless steel bowl.
Yeah. Well, the stainless steel, the way they come up on the sides, I mean, they could easily be tipped, whereas the pottery is heavier, and if it's straight up and down on the sides, it's not as easy to flip over. So
and it also seems like if someone gets pushed up against it, I'd rather be pushed up against pottery than that stainless steel edge, which is never. So that's how I use them.
Yeah. So I definitely am having a lot of fun doing it. I just our nationals for Swissy, the Great Swiss Mountain Dog nationals, is out in California, and it is in October, and I'm sending 8 bowls out there for like when they do the different sports, like when they do rally and somebody wins, I sent out 8 bowls, and they're
cool.
gonna yeah.
Wow.
So and then I sent one, like a donation one for the auction that they're gonna have for the rescue. So yeah,
that's so cool.
busy. Yeah. So yeah, I do really enjoy it. So and coming up in the fall, you know how in the fall they always have in all the towns, like, craft shows and stuff for Christmas. So I'm doing a lot of those. I have 2 or 3 coming up actually next. I think I noticed is someone local to me, like in Columbus or Ohio, or one of you two?
No, I'm in Lexington, Kentucky.
Okay.
I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, so I'm not local to anybody.
Okay, because I thought there was another 614 phone number. Maybe not.
I have a 615. I'm from Nashville originally.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I just saw it and thought it was a 614.
I did the same thing. I was like, "Where is she from?" Yeah,
I know. Yeah. So, but anyway, there's a there's a pet fair next Sunday here locally, and they'll have all the rescues. Will bring dogs, and for people, they're doing like dog frisbee and presentations, and just a fun day for families to come out and interact with all the dogs, and hopefully get some dogs rescued. And so yeah, I try to do that too. All the pet events around town. So yeah,
that sounds
really
great.
fun. Yeah.
Do Moose and Minnie get to go with you?
No, my husband's like, well, you should take one of the dogs. And I'm like, you know what? It's Pottery's heavy, first of all, and then trying to set up and then keep them, if they saw another dog, they'd want to visit. And I don't know.
Focus on one hobby at a time.
Exactly. I can see Moose, like one of them going under the table and knocking my whole table over.
Oh, yeah.
Don't want that. That would be devastating. So
Lori, how much time do you spend on pottery?
Too much. Yeah, no. Probably I would say, and that's the thing, I didn't want it to be a job. It was like a hobby, or it is a hobby that when I have enough stuff, I'll sell what I have or get out there or whatever. But right now I'm probably spending about 4 hours a day, which that's not terrible. Like I'll do maybe 2.5 hours during the day, and then after dinner, maybe another hour and a half before I sit down and watch TV in the evening. But yeah, so maybe 4 hours a day. So it's not a full-time job, and I don't want it to be. I just want it to be fun.
Yeah. Right. But 4 hours is still, it's not like you spend an hour a week,
No, it's definitely a commitment. I mean, well, and the thing is, like, so a couple of days ago, you can throw a bowl in about 5 minutes. So okay, so that's the start. But you throw a bowl in 5 minutes, but then it's got to dry in order to be turned over and trimmed, and then that takes about 20 minutes. So then it's got to completely dry, like bone dry, and then you fire it, and then you have to glaze it, and it needs 3 or 4 coats of glaze. That's another 20 minutes. And then it needs fired again. I mean, to make a bowl, it's about a month, like a big bowl, because it has to dry. The whole drying process really takes time. If I would make a bowl and leave it out that night, the next day, it would have a crack in the bottom. It has to dry super slow. Otherwise it'll crack. So it's a whole, so I have this like little mini greenhouse in the basement that I throw the stuff and I put it in this little greenhouse, and it dries, but slowly. So yeah, it's definitely a process and a learning curve. Yeah, it is. And I guess it's a lot more than I was thinking it was going to be. As far as all that, I thought, oh, you just throw a piece of pottery, but
that's what I thought too.
So
and
much
it's not that.
No. I mean, from the time you put that ball of clay on the wheel, it's about a month.
Honestly, I'm feeling like you should be charging way much more than I paid for that much labor.
Well, and that's the thing. Like when I sent the Swissy bowls, they're like, "Was this your?" They're $30. I'm like, I can't do it for any less than that. I'm literally making like, I don't know, $8 an hour. If I do have to time it, but you know what? It's just fun and it's a hobby, and as long as my sales pay for my equipment, that's fine. I don't really need to make a ton of money doing it. It's not really why I started doing it. So I do like to donate and just give back, and I make these amazing little pet memorial hearts.
I saw those. They were so pretty.
I'm making one right now, but I just found out the lady who helped train her cat passed on yesterday. So I was like, I got to go make a little thing for her. So he was 17. So
gosh,
had a nice long life. But I do enjoy it, and it's been a lot of fun. And the lady who taught me, she's like, oh, you'll get tired of doing bowls. And I'm like, actually, I really haven't. I really like just creating different ones and different types. And, you can do a million different designs, all different things. So I don't think I'll get tired of it, because it was like the two things kind of came together, the dog showing and then the pottery. It's like, about the dogs. So that's what my kids would say too. They're like so annoyed. They're like, if I do something with the dogs, they're like, I'm like, hey, these dogs love me every single day. I walk in, they are never angry, never annoyed with me.
There's no attitude.
No attitude.
There's no attitude. They do not talk back. So yeah, no, it's both things have been a great thing since, you know, the kids have grown up.
Awesome.
So yeah.
That's awesome. And pottery's not easy to learn either. I took a class about a year ago, and it was really fun. And I thought it was going to be like, oh yeah, like to make like a bowl or something. Cause that's, you know, it was like one of those deals where you pay $50, you go sit in a class and you learn. I didn't make anything worthy of taking home that day. And the instructor felt sad for me. So she made me like a little vase. I definitely forgot to go pick up, but like it was so bad. I've always wanted to be good at something like that because I always thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
It does pottery. And I was like, oh, this is going to be so neat. No, Lori. It is so much hard. There's so much more like, arm and shoulder work than anyone knows about.
It is hard, but with practice, you know, like everything, you'll just get better at it. But like the art or the skill is making the bowls. Well, actually a dog bowl should be kind of heavy and thick.
Yeah.
But like if you're to make a mug or, you know, a wine glass or something, it should be lightweight, you know, something like that. But yeah, so the mugs should be lighter weight, but a dog bowl I think should be kind of heavy. I mean, but making a bowl, like if you went and took that class, you're probably going to make a little cereal bowl or something, you know, it should be thin and the walls and the bottom should be equal thicknesses, and it never works out that way the first throw.
No, it does not. Speaking from very personal experience.
It
was so fun though. I enjoyed it. I'll probably go back.
Yeah, definitely. So you should give it another try.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Lori. We really appreciate
It's been a blast
hearing all of your experience with us. It's so fun to talk to new people and learn about new people's hobbies. So thank you.
Yeah, I've had a good time. So alrighty. Well, thank you guys. And let me know if you do want to talk about the raw feeding. That could be a whole nother another thing. Yeah. So alrighty. Well, you guys have a great Saturday.
Thank you. You too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
If you're interested in learning more about Lori's pottery, you can check it out on Instagram at Swissy Love Pet Pottery. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to Poodle People to stay up to date with the latest episode. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, and remember, a poodle will change your life. If you'd like to get in touch with either me or Elise, or if you have questions you'd like answered during the podcast, email poodlepeoplepodcast@gmail.com. And if you have questions or want to be put on my wait list for puppies, please visit my website at scotchcornerstandardpoodles.com.